story in every bottle.
Well, hello. Welcome to another Monday.
Cheers.
It's Monday again.
Cheers. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
What?
These are funny looking glasses.
There's something wrong with it.
Isn't this a wine show?
I think we're starting the show on the wrong foot.
Something different.
I'm starting the show on a bar stool, actually. So we also have a funny looking Ken today.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Upside down.
So I don't know, most of you must know Merike by now, but Merike is joining us in Ken's place. Ken is down in Atlanta, Georgia. He's helping his mom, and his family's down there, and he's on important family business, so he had to take some time. But Merike, who's our local expert on beer, I just drink a lot of it. I'm not really an expert of it, but I just love it.
I like that's as much of
I think
expert
Chuck's
as
probably
anyone, sorry.
somewhere in the closer to the expert side, but he drinks a lot of
Well,
it too.
no, isn't it 10,000 hours?
Yeah, 10,000
So
hours.
I must be.
Spent
getting
drinking.
close.
We're all experts then, right?
No, the one time Ken isn't here is the one person that's actually brewed a lot of beer.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But we're not talking about Ken's beer.
We're not talking about brewing beer even as much. Just
No,
talking about
no, we're talking about some of the great brewers of our wonderful state here in New Hampshire, and there are many. It's interesting because just I don't know, 10 years ago there might have been 4 or 5 breweries in the whole state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And now there's I think about 100. I haven't seen the count lately, but I think it's roughly somewhere around 100 or 100 and some breweries. So it has been an explosion of small craft brewers. You know what I'm talking? We haven't even had any beer in our glass.
That's problem number 2.
Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Let's get this one open. So
Start
we're
with
going
a
to
good
open.
one.
We're going to start with a good one. We're going to start with a Twin Barns Anniversary Sour IPA, which this is very foreign to me. I am not used to sours and IPAs being in the same title. So this is going to be interesting. But we'll put this in our glass while we get talk about all the things we want everybody to remember when they're joining our podcast, and then we'll talk about the beer. But yeah, that's what we're here to do today. We're here to talk about beer. So Hermit
Cheers.
Woods, cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers to y'all.
I hope you have a beer at home with you, or if not, a glass of wine or one of our ciders would be just fine. Wait, hold your thoughts, Chuck. So I know you're dying. He's ready. He's dying to go in.
Gotta do the intro.
Got to do the intro. Yeah, so we got a couple things. But so the reason we're here today is Hermit Woods is, as you know, a small craft winery, and we make cider and mead, but we don't make beer yet. Did I say that? I didn't say that. But anyway, since we got our Deli license, we've been so excited to be able to invite all the other small craft beer makers, just like us, people who started their places maybe in their master bedroom like we did. I don't think there's probably any of those, but in their garage or whatever. And
It's a pretty common story.
yeah, no,
A lot of
for
breweries
sure.
started in basements and garages and.
I think the master
living
bedroom
rooms.
is
Master
probably
bedroom.
unique,
Yeah, maybe.
but who knows? Maybe not. Yeah, I could bet there's somebody out there, but there's 100 breweries, right? There may be. So we want to celebrate those great people out there that are doing the hard work like we're doing to make some really interesting beverages, and we sell all of these beers and others in our deli. And we like to turn it around all the time. So we thought we'd spend our show today going through some of our favorites, and it's hard to pick. There's so many. But before we get into this any further, let's get back to some of the basics. I'm going to check in with the audience, see who's here with us today. And good. Ken did make it in. All right.
All right.
So Ken's out there in the audience. Hi, Ken. Glad you could
10,000
make
years.
it. And
10,000 beers.
So actually,
10,000 beers.
Sounds
I
like
could
a-
track
sounds like a
that.
band.
So there are apps you can use that I've
Track how many beers you drank?
Today?
Yes. I mean, not
That
over the
would
course
be
of your life,
dangerous.
but there are apps you can get for, keeping track of all the beers that you've tried. And you check into beers, and that way you can go back later on and remember certain beers, a beer you had
I have
years ago.
I have an app for wine.
Why
like
not?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
It's,
Vino,
it's
right.
handy. I love it. So I can remember things, if I
So
I've tried that before maybe.
so you should let our audience know what your favorite app is.
It's called Untapped.
Untapped.
Without
There you
the
go.
E.
So if you want to track your beers,
Mhm.
get Untapped. I think I got it, and I haven't
Yeah.
used it very.
So I mean, I guess if you have multiple of the same beer, you don't have to check in every time.
Right.
But you can at least track, how many different beers you've tried
Yeah.
over the course of having the app.
And how many have you tried?
I can't remember. I can check. It's in it's hundreds.
Hundreds.
It's
Okay.
definitely hundreds.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah.
In the
Thousands?
hundreds. When it
I
gets to
haven't hit-
10,000.
I haven't
guess
hit
it's
10,000.
on
No,
thousands.
it's
In your
in the
lifetime?
hundreds. I've only had the app for a couple of years, so
Okay.
She's a little younger than you, Chuck, so you have to keep that in mind. She hasn't caught up to you. You're in the thousands.
Yeah. I
Thousands of
You're in the
different beers? Oh, yeah.
10,000s.
I think I was in the thousands by the time I was her age. I mean, I did go to high school, right? And the drinking age was 18.
So Matt's greeting us from under Dave's car. I love it. I have this picture of Matt under Dave's car.
How is he drinking is
If
the
you-
question.
Yeah.
Do I
That would be
is
hard.
my Matt's designated
Maybe he
drinker
has
today?
one of those hats with the two beers on either
Yeah,
side with
that
a
would
tube
work.
that runs
Yeah.
into his mouth. You got one of those, right, Matt? I'm sure you do. Gary's joined us today,
Gary.
and Jen's got, oh my God,
looking
Pandora's
ahead.
Kettle Sour is amazing. You're jumping ahead, Jen. We're not there yet.
we'll get there. It's one of my favorites too.
And Geraldine says hi. Nice to see you, Geraldine. Glad you could join us. Geraldine doesn't drink a lot of beer, but she'll have a beer occasionally. She does enjoy a nice pale ale once in a while. She really enjoys Concord Craft's Kolsch.
Yep. I've been trying. Yeah,
That's
that
a
one's
nice
been out of
beer.
stock for a
Yeah.
couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll get it back.
She likes the lighter Pilsnery
Yeah.
beers that aren't real heavy.
Yeah, I won't remember the name now. I hate this. When we were in France, there's not a lot of beer in France. If you've been there, you probably know. It's a lot of wine. But there weren't very many breweries, and there was this one beer that was sold everywhere in France, and she fell in love with it, and we're always looking for it. It is in the States. I can't remember. If I remember the name, I'll
Only one I
bring
can
it
think
up.
of is Fisher.
No, it's not Fisher. So that's who's with us today. So let's get into talking about some of these beers. So we just poured ourselves Twin Barns. Let's talk about Twin Barns first.
Well, I like that you were talking about how craft breweries have exploded so much, and talking about there are a few that have been around for 10, maybe 15 years.
Not many.
But a lot are much, much newer. Twin Barns is on the newer end, but they have grown a lot in the past 2 years. And so this is everyone, because this is their second anniversary commemorative beer.
None of these breweries in front of us have been here since 10 years ago. Not a single one
I'd
of
say
them.
Henniker's got to be the oldest.
Yeah.
I think.
But not 10 years.
No.
No way.
Probably not.
And so Twin Barns is one of the youngest.
Yeah.
Twin Barns is the youngest
In this array,
group.
definitely.
They're in their second year. See this?
Mhm.
Two. Yes. So this is their anniversary beer.
They turned 2.
They turned 2.
Oh.
And they launched them. That's a really nice design. I got to give Twin Barns a lot of credit for the work they do on their labels. They're very appealing. They're right up the road. They're a mile down the road from us, and we're sure glad to have them here. We love having them as neighbors. A lot of our guests leave here and go to Twin Barns to get the brewery experience, and we hear from people all the time who come here from Twin Barns. And what I also love is our cranberry cider. I have a can that I was sipping on earlier. Our cranberry cider is a huge seller at Twin Barns.
I had a guy come in here today that had just been up at Twin Barns, and he doesn't drink cider at all, but his daughter does. And so when he was up there, they were telling him about this this cider and how much people like it. And so he came down here and bought a 4-pack for his daughter.
Yeah, it's
Lovely.
That's great cider.
It's great cider, and we deliver a lot of cider up to them. So a lot
It's
of
kind
their
of the gluten-free option, I think.
yeah,
You know?
That's true.
for the non-beer drinking crowd.
Like non-beer.
Maybe my wife Carolyn would probably choose a cider occasionally when we go to breweries for that reason. So Twin Barns, mile up the road, about 2 years old. Two guys started this brewery, really great guys, Dave and Bruce, and they're having a lot of fun.
Especially
They're busy.
the past year
They're
they opened
busy.
up a gorgeous outdoor sort of beer garden space.
Yeah.
They put up a pavilion, an outdoor bar. They've
Yeah.
got cornhole made by the same guy that did our cornhole sets. Sort of fancy custom cornhole. They've got new lawn chairs that I just saw.
Oh, I saw
nicely.
that. Yeah,
They set it up really nice out there. And I
they're
think
doing
it's
a
been-
they're doing a frizz,
Oh yeah, they are putting in a disc golf course
a
as
disc
well.
golf course.
Just a 9-holer, but still,
Just a 9-hole.
it's not a full course. But yeah, so I'll definitely have to partake in
When's
that.
that going to be done?
I don't know. I haven't heard updates. I saw that they were putting one in. As another of my side hobbies, which pairs very well with beer. It tends to be a similar crowd. There's a lot of overlap between the disc golf crowd and the beer
I
crowd.
would imagine. And
sure.
you know what else I'm noticing, Chuck, is that you and I still have beer in our glass.
Yeah.
Merike doesn't.
I am a
Wow.
big fan of the sours.
I think we have ourselves a true professional here.
I think she needs
Well, I don't know. No,
because now we
we've
need to
got-
talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh, geez, okay.
right. So
I'll take less when we get into the double IPAs, and then you'll.
Okay, tell us about it. You're the expert.
Oh, so
You, especially on sours, right?
I do.
Sour's not my beer. It's
yeah,
typically-
and I definitely recognize that a lot of people are not into sours. They are distinctive. I remember the first sour I had was actually up at Shillings, and when I ordered it, I remember the waitress sort of giving me a disclaimer and sort of checking in, like, "Have you had a sour before? Are you sure you want this? It's a little different," but I did want it, and it was delicious. And this one, sour IPAs aren't that common, and some definitely are going to be hoppier than others. This one barely is.
That's what I'm noticing. I don't get the IPA in it. I get the
No.
sour. It's definitely a sour, but
Mhm.
I don't get the IPA.
oh, I get the hops.
Yeah?
There's a little.
Oh yeah, no, it's IPA hops. Yeah, for sure. And it's a bittered hop. But the problem is that there's a lot of competition between the sourness and this type of hops that they use. I mean, they use the more traditional, well, might say, my only thing that always comes to mind for me is Kent Golding, but it's that really English style hops, not the Cascade, grapefruity, fruity.
Mosaic, Azaka, and Belma.
We got Mosaic in there. Wow. Well, there you go. I would say that the mutedness of the hops has got to be to do with the sour, because those are bonky on the head sort of hops. So that neither of you even suggest that it's even hoppy means that the sour is in competition with that hoppiness. I get it sort of a little bit of dryness on the tip of my tongue.
There is
right now.
It finishes with the bitterness.
Yeah, with that bitterness.
That hop
That's-
bitterness.
Yep.
Mhm.
But it's funny. It really does mute that. Yeah, it is an interesting choice. One of the things I do like about sours is that the sourness is sort of works like acidity in wine. So your mouth is left in a dry, maybe a little watery. This is kind of dry, watery. My mouth is still salivating, yet I have that hoppy oil in there, then drying it
That
out
is
at the same
interesting,
time.
yeah.
You getting that?
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, but I have to defer with Bob. Is that the sours are unique and interesting, but I don't know that I have a piece of the puzzle that they fit into for me as a matter of enjoyment of beer. I like the creativity. I think this is a very well crafted beer. I think that, one would be enough for me. And whereas another beer, I might just want more and more and more because it's fitting that beer craving.
And there's
You're
quite
a sour
variety. Yeah,
fan.
there's a big variety within sours too. Like I like almost all of them, but there are some that still taste like beer, and this is definitely one of those. The Henniker sour flower is another one that it's sour, but it still has that aftertaste of the hops and maybe the weediness. Whereas there are others that are very, very fruited sours, like the Pandora's Kettle is more of those. Some of the Kettlehead, like lactose milk sours, they'll brew with all sorts of things that they taste like juice. They taste like a smoothie.
And is that what you prefer?
Sometimes. I don't want that all the time, nor do I want the ones that are just this all the time, because I like the fruited ones, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't want either all the time, I think.
And I shouldn't be on any panel really, in any official status as a beer drinker, because I mean, I'm really old fashioned in my styles of beers that I enjoy. So I'm going to defer to you for much of this, because I know what I like and I enjoy, but it's a personal choice. It's not. But what I do know, and what really I can talk about, is this is a well-made beer. It's well balanced, and I think they work those hops into the sour kind of nicely. It's not. I mean, they work together. They don't overcompete. I don't know. I think it's a well balanced, well made beer. So
happy birthday, Twin Barns.
Happy birthday, Twin Barns.
Happy birthday, Twin Barns.
Happy
Cheers.
birthday. No, let's not do that. Let's open another one.
So we're starting off with beers in proximity to Hermit Woods Winery.
Yes, that's sort of how we've arranged.
Yeah,
theme here.
we've got 3 from Twin Barns.
We've
Because
got
they
3
are
from
the
Twin
closest,
Barns.
yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
We do have a 4th from Twin Barns, but I didn't want to overwhelm these 2 with sours because the 4th one is another sour.
Another sour. No,
So-
we gotta spread the love.
Yeah.
So we'll do the New England IPA.
So I went for a motorcycle ride yesterday to visit friends, and we wound up at the Harpoon Brewery over in Vermont. And we were looking for a place to go, and so I just Googled the breweries in the Claremont.
Breweries near me.
Holy guacamole! Like every little town, Newport, Claremont, Lebanon, everything popped up with some sort of brewery thing. One of the problems, though, doing this is that breweries are not open all the time.
Oh, I know.
They are closed.
Especially the really small ones.
Yeah, so you be careful of that, because even we were going to go up to Long Trail, and they're closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that. Long Trail.
That's,
I mean, it was
that's a
real
big spot.
brand.
Have you been there another time?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah,
We've gone
I
out to Ken Baumgartner with
I
their-
like Long Trail.
one of our tours. So so that's the note of caution for going on a brewery tour is check the
Don't go on Monday.
don't go on Monday
Don't
or Tuesday
never
or
go on
Wednesday. And don't go before noon.
So
Right.
this reminds me of every year when we drive to the Eastern Winery Exposition, which is either in Lancaster, New York, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or Syracuse, New York. We usually are driving across the country some midday on a Tuesday is typically when we travel, and it's every third, every fourth brewery is closed, and it's so depressing. We're trying to find. Nonetheless, we do find them.
Oh, I'm
Somehow
sure. You've
always
got to
find
find
something.
We
one.
always find
Yeah,
them.
we've never
Even
gone
if it's
thirsty.
a local brew pub that doesn't brew their own beer but carries local beers
Yeah.
on tap or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
That's not ideal, but we'll sacrifice for that.
Settle, yeah.
Settle for that. Yeah.
Oh, so what do we have here?
So this is Twin Barns Palmerstown. Do you know that Palmerstown is the name that Meredith used to go by?
I was just
Was it
wondering.
named
I
after
think I've heard. I
Arnold
think I've heard
Palmer
this.
because of the great golfer?
No, had nothing to do with him. I don't
Don't think
know
he's from
where that
Hampshire.
name came, but this
Oh.
area used to be called Palmerstown.
Does it give the story? I don't think of the
It
story.
does, yeah.
So who was
1768,
Palmer?
that's when Palmerstown, New Hampshire was founded. Now called Meredith. It's our brewery's home. It doesn't say how
Who
it
Mr.
got
Palmer
to be
is.
Mr. Palmer. So we'll have to just
Or
look
Mrs.
that
Palmer.
up. Or Mrs. Palmer could be. Yeah. Glad you brought that up.
Is there a
So look at the color. That's it. So this is a New England IPA.
Yeah, that's the trademark.
Little hazy.
A lot hazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot hazy.
That is, yeah, that tends to be
Can't see
the
anything.
trademark of, New England IPAs tend to be much juicier, hazier, and still hoppy, but not,
Not overly.
and they're not as like bitter, piney hops
Right.
as like the West Coast IPA.
Right. This has got Citra, Amarillo, and Mosaic.
I like that they put that on there.
Yeah, me too.
Not that that's one area I'm not very good at, the sort of experts on different hops. Like Chuck was getting into it, and I don't know that much
Well,
about
there's a
what's
few,
what,
that
but
I've known from our past beer making processes at Ken's house when he's homebrewing, and you actually taste the hops before it goes into the beer, and that's where I'm sort of an experiential learner,
Me too.
and things like
Yeah.
flavors stick in my brain really well. So, but those are I have the 5 hops that he used. I kind of can get the difference of those because I tasted them before they went into the beer. And most of these Mosaic and whatnot, they're new. I mean, just like all these breweries, this was 10 years ago that Ken was playing around with beer making. So But what do you think of this, Bob? This is sort of more in your genre of beer.
This would be, honestly, this would be my lawnmower lager.
This is your lawnmower lager. Yeah. So it's a lower alcohol.
But it's, I mean, most people's lawnmower lager is 3.5%, 4%, but this is 6. Once you start favoring doubles, it changes the whole world for you.
I think that's true. I think that if I drink a double, triple IPA and then I go back just like a gold IPA, it's such a
downer. To a pale ale.
Or a pale ale, like,
it is hard because it is. I used to enjoy some nice pale ales and some of the lighter beers. I used to enjoy them more, but the bigger the beer I've grown into, the bigger the IPA, the harder it is to drink those. They don't taste like beer anymore. It's like water.
To me, the beers like that, they just taste like beer. It's beer flavored beer.
Beer flavored beer.
Yeah, beer flavored beer, and that's great sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for me. Any Pilsner lager.
Grape flavored wine? Oh wait a minute, they don't make that, do they? Oh, maybe Manischewitz. So I think again, well crafted, a great example of.
It's hard to believe it's 6%.
And it is. It's well balanced with the hops and the alcohol and when crafted. To me, this is kind of like drinking orange juice. Like the pulp, you go and buy the Tropicana pulp-free orange juice, and maybe this, of course, isn't as sweet, but it's still as rich and chewy in the way that orange juice is chewy to me. It has that. Maybe it's the Citra hops has that little citrusy kind of finish, and to me, it's what American beer brewing has done to beer. Is just take something that is has a boilerplate tradition and crank up the volume. I mean, it's like heavy metal, drummer on a basic theme of a beer that is just gone in I think great directions. I'm only saying that because there's so many different beers. You can travel around now in New Hampshire and get something that matches your taste.
Yeah. Oh, and that's just like wines. I mean, there's tens of thousands of different options to choose from when it comes to picking the right wine. And of course, the right wine is also relative to the right occasion and the right circumstance and the right people and music and everything. It's the same thing we talk about with beer. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There's the right beer for the right time.
So if there's
what do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
I like New England IPAs generally. Generally, I'm much less of an IPA fan, but the New England IPAs are ones that I can get on board with more because
they're juiciness.
They're juicier. They're a little bit lighter. They're not as bitter hoppy. They sometimes are kind of fruity in their juiciness, and I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good beer. Another good beer.
So if there's a scale, it would be go back to Ken's crushability scale on a scale of 1 to 3 beers. So if I were having 3 beers, I think that on that scale, this would maybe only make 2 beers, and I would switch to something else. So the first beer was definitely 1 beer. So this beer,
not from Merike.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could shove the 2. I could,
or whatever you
this.
would safely drink in a beer drinking session, which probably would be 3. This would be like 3 beers. This would be all your beers. You would just have this and you'd be totally happy.
I don't think I could do it. I could do 1.
These are 16-ounce beers, actually. So that's probably not fair.
That's
working
a
on
long
the scale.
Yeah.
The glasses, maybe.
Next.
Trying to get to crushability. Yeah, let's go for it.
Look at this can.
Now we're in Bob's happy land.
Yeah, look at this can. This is not just my happy land. This is one of the most popular beers in the area. This is the Lake Cruiser. I love this beer. Citra, Mosaic, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Centennial.
Wow.
This is hop action and 7.8% alcohol.
Yeah.
You do a lighter pour on that one?
Yeah.
The big dipper.
Look at that. Yes.
Yeah, I'll take a lighter pour on that. We've got a lot to go.
Okay.
So I think just naturally a double IPA, so they double
Look at the head on that
the malt and barley. So all of the sugars in there are doubled, so they ferment out the alcohol to get more alcohol, and then you get more body and more richness and more hops and more.
A little more. head,
More.
a little more color, a
Mhm.
little deeper color.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Still hazy.
Yeah.
That is good.
Oh, there's so much complexity. I get this rich. There's also like some caramel in there. It is like a little bit of caramel.
I feel like this is a little sweeter.
It is a little
Yeah.
sweeter. Yeah, that's where that caramel tastes. A little,
Mhm.
and nice balance of the hops.
And it's still not super bitter.
No.
And that's actually one thing I found trying double and even triple IPAs. It's almost like you expect it to be hoppier and hoppier each time, but somehow it's not. In my experience, like a triple IPA is sometimes ridiculously smooth and not that hoppy and bitter somehow. And
It's all
I
over
don't think
the
it's
map.
somehow. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
I
it's a
definitely-
somehow. I think
yeah.
if it's well made, the brewer knows through experimentation how to balance the ingredients so that at the end of the day you come up with something that the sweetness and the bitterness and the maltiness and whatever it is that they're after all at the end of the day just hit your mouth in on key. It's sort of like music, right? If it's off, you get this, oh my God, that's so bitter, or some one flavor takes over, or one component of the beer takes over, and it sends your mouth into a death spiral of wanting a different beer, or something like that.
Death spiral.
A death spiral.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's heavy.
I know. I know. So I thought this is on my beer scale that we don't quite have worked out yet.
Half a can.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, you have to be careful with this at 8%. It's a lot.
Oh.
It is pretty crushable though, and it's great.
See, because I've lost control.
Yeah.
I can put 2 or 3 of these down. This is on that scale, and
Yeah.
so the mileage I have to put in every week on the road to deal with the 3 of these.
So it's not a light beer. It's probably like 1,000 calories.
Oh, I don't know. But it's delicious.
Well, how many miles per can? I guess
It's a
that'd be
lot.
it's like-
5 at least.
It's like 5 miles.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a different scale.
This says taste. I love this, and I read this, and I immediately I felt it. So this says taste the sunshine, but it's pillowy.
oh, yeah.
It's pillowy. I think that's a good description.
Yeah.
Full-bodied New England dip-up from Twin Barns. Light flavors of grapefruit, pineapple, and passion fruit make this beer the perfect mate for those long, lazy days cruising the lake. I gotta concur.
Yeah. No, agreed. Well made. And the other thing that just occurred to me is that it tastes really fresh.
Mm.
Mhm.
It probably is. We get this beer like every other week,
Yeah.
or every week.
Yeah,
Yep.
I found that with I have a bunch of local beers in my refrigerator, and I opened one up the other day, a one that I really usually like, and it's been there for I don't know, too long, and I could tell it had definitely gone downhill. So
I think
what
IPAs they have
They have a shelf
expiration
life,
date
yeah.
Oh, sure.
more
sure.
faster than most beers.
So a word of caution. So
I have
I
to
was
drink
hoarding
more.
beer, and I'm
so
realizing
I
that
keep bringing you beer.
you really just got to go to the brewery every day.
Yeah.
Or the winery.
And in some ways, I mean, everybody's pretty efficient in the beer ordering world, but I think one of the greatest things about places like Twin Barns is I go directly to them to order this beer.
Right.
For some of our others, I'm going through a distributor, and that can work really well. They know a lot about things. They're very efficient, but it's really fun getting to work directly with the brewers, and
Yeah.
that I can just text them and say, hey, what do you got this week?
Right.
Or, we have an event that was unexpected and are out of beer, and so we can get in touch with them last minute and say, we're desperate. What do you got for us?
Thank
And they
goodness.
can show up the next day with a couple of cases and say that. And I love that sort of
I love
relationship that
local.
we're building with the local breweries.
Yeah.
So
It's been pretty great.
that is true, and especially when they're only a mile down the road. 'Cause I see the little beer truck come running around. So that's Twin Barns. We've covered 3 of them. Typically we have at least Palmerstown and Lake Cruiser in the Deli almost all the time because of that easy
Yeah.
accessibility. And now we have their 2-year, and we have one other sour by
Yeah.
them. What's that?
The Red Hill Raspberry Sour
The Red
is
Hill
what we've got
Raspberry.
right now. We've also carried, they had the Paugus Bay, which is pineapple, orange, and guava.
Mhm.
It's a pretty good sour that we've carried before. We've had their Belknap Pilsner before, a few others, but they can these 2 pretty regularly, so we get them a lot. The 2, we won't get any more of that once this is gone. But
So if you want to experiment with Twin Barns beer, clearly the best choice would go to Twin Barns, a mile up the road. But if you're here enjoying some Hermit Woods wine and you want to have some beer along with your wine, then you can come here and have it.
Can you do that? Can you have beer and wine in the same sitting?
Yeah,
Glass of beer, glass of wine.
yeah, I have done it.
I wonder if we could do. We should do a show on beer and wine pairings where we pair wine with beer.
Oh, I don't know.
You know?
I could get on board
I don't think
with
that. I don't think that's what we're doing.
No, it would be a small
No,
audience.
imagine
What does the
a
audience
chocolate
think?
porter with deep blue. You do something light like a Pilsner with a cider.
Why don't you work on that?
I
I'm
think
going
it
to
could
check
work.
in with the audience
All right,
before we go
I'm
over
going to pour our
Kettlehead.
next beer.
Let's check in and see who's here and who's listening to us. This is crazy. Cronenberg, Geraldine.
Oh,
She got it.
Concord. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was the beer that we had. I have a picture of Gerald. Looks like it's right out of a marketing campaign. We were in Chamonix,
Oh, sure.
and she ordered a Cronenberg, and right behind Geraldine is Mont Blanc,
Mhm.
because we were on the other side of Chamonix, and she's holding it up, and the light was perfect, and she's looking great with a little Cronenberg, and we could probably sell it to them, but we're not going to. But Cronenberg, that's it. And Janice joined us. Hi, Janice.
Hi, Janice.
Nice to see you. And Priscilla's here. Priscilla, I hear you were in the winery today. Sorry, I missed you. I wish I was here. Jen Sowers, Jen's
Jen's on
favorite.
board with
She's
me.
a Sour fan. Matt says hi, Merike. And Douglas Peterson, greetings from Holden, Mass.
Mhm.
Hi, Douglas. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, Greg joined us. Good. What do we got here? Words of wisdom to live by. You just go to the
Okay.
brewery
Nice and
every
fresh.
day. Thank you, Chuck.
Why not? Carpe diem.
It's a mile down the road.
That's right. It's there. Yeah.
It's hard. I drive past it every day on my way home from work, and I see how busy it is, and I see all the people outside having a good time, and it's
Well,
hard
that's
not
okay.
to roll in every day.
That's true. But if you're busy and you're working hard to grow your winery every day and you have it right in the kitchen,
Yeah. Right.
there's always that.
Yeah.
So thank goodness you carry Twin Barns. So that's I think that's it from the audience. Let's get back to it. We got Kettlehead
Yeah.
next.
So
let's-
so we need to show off this one because
well,
the color.
before we
just-
talk about the beer, yeah. Well, let's show it off. What
Yeah.
is that? This looks blueberry.
It is.
It is blueberry.
Yes.
All right, wait a minute. So Kettlehead. Kettlehead, we got what, 3 years? I think they're a little older than 3 or
About
4.
3 or 4. I think they're at 4 years. I think.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They made a big splash in the Lakes region 3 or 4 years ago. They opened up in a business that used to, I forget what
Like
it used
a
to be.
meat
It
packing
was a
plant.
no,
It
it
was
was
a-
a,
it
it
was
was a
something
supermarket.
really-
No, it's from my. I
It was
live
a
in a
meat
town.
market.
So
A meat market, yes.
Yeah, it
That's
was-
because
no,
it shows up
was
as my credit card. They didn't have the category right. It was
Oh.
it showed up as like a deli
Okay.
for a while.
So it was a small grocery store.
Oh, small grocery store. Yeah.
They had a meat market, and it was built specifically for that. I don't remember what the name was. They went out of business. I don't know, somewhere when we had like 3 major grocery store
Uh-oh.
chains.
The doubles
Dipple,
kicked in.
moved into town, and the grocery store didn't survive. And then it became a gym.
Oh
It was
yeah,
a
I know. I think I
gymnasium,
remember
yes.
that. Oh
So
yeah, it was a
then
CrossFit
The
spot.
gym, so the gym
Yeah.
then went out of business, and then they chose us
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
their brewery.
And good choice. It's a nice building.
Well, it's a lot of parking. I mean,
A
it
lot of
seems to be
parking.
the thing with breweries is that if you can put it anywhere, as long as there's 8,000 parking lots, people go. It's like the field,
And they
field of
fill up.
dreams, really.
If you build it.
People will come drink beer
Yeah.
because beer is good.
I just read this morning, I was looking at some statistics for some reason or another, and beer is now the #1 consumed alcohol in the country.
Wow.
Was it not for
Mm-mm.
before?
It wasn't before.
It was wine?
Spirits.
Oh, spirits is a whole category.
Mm.
No. I suppose if you add up all spirits together, I guess, but
Well, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. But I, from the numbers I was looking at today, now there's different ways to parse those numbers, and I'm not sure if it's volume,
per capita.
sales. There's a difference going to be spirits volume would be low, but sales would be high because spirits cost more.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly. I didn't dig that deep. I wasn't really very serious into it. But I was surprised to learn that beer has moved up a notch in the consumption of alcohol in this country. So yeah, if you build it,
Yeah,
it will come.
and people who come, the mountain bike park at Highlands.
Yeah, in Franklin.
In Northfield.
Yeah.
Is
Highlands, that's right. But there's
Yeah.
also the mountain bike park in Franklin.
So it's
On
a
both
big
sides.
go-to place for post mountain biking. Because I say
They've done
that.
collaborations with them.
Yeah, and I think they probably have beer up at Highlands too, because they had our cider.
They do.
for a
They had our
while.
cider for a
They've
while.
got one
And
side trail.
So it's become sort of the hangout place after mountain biking, and then for the locals too. The place is packed all the time. Food's really good. I highly recommend it. They've got a great beer.
So
great food.
if you get off exit 20, exit 20,
Yeah.
and you head west toward Tilton, you go through downtown Tilton, and it's what, a mile or so on the
Just
right?
past
Not even that,
downtown,
just-
right before you
yeah.
get to the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are a great place. They're definitely, I'd say Kettlehead actually. I don't know, it's hard to pick favorites. It depends on what you're looking
Oh,
for.
it's not hard for you.
Kettlehead.
Kettlehead.
Kettlehead is my favorite brewery in the
Kettlehead.
state, and that's
Favorite brewery in the
And
state?
that's-
How many have you been to?
Wow.
Oh, I don't know, at least a dozen, a bunch.
A dozen. There's 100.
We're working on it, all right? And that's based on a whole bunch of things. Partly because we go so frequently. So I don't know if we count as regulars, but I know the servers. They know who I am. We're Mug Club members.
Wow.
They do have a Mug Club, and so that's nice. And so the general vibe and ambiance, the people are great. The food is great. The beer is great, and it's for Kettlehead. They're definitely one of the breweries that, to me, they have a big variety of beer, and they're good at every variety that I tried. I think there are certain breweries that definitely have specialties, and they'll make other beers, and they're good at the other beers too. But I think, their specialty probably is the New England IPAs and their sours.
So
But
let me just start this by saying, I already announced that I'm sort of old-fashioned in my beer drinking. The German rule is good for me: hops and yeast and grain. What is it? What is the rule? Barley. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I'm not a sour fan generally, and I always immediately say no to a fruit beer. I have to tell you
you
that.
like this one?
Wow.
This is really good.
This is really.
And it's one of probably one of the strongest. Blueberry beer is a pretty.
It's usually
as
lighter.
fruit beer goes, it's a pretty
Yeah.
common one. But
Yeah.
this is, it's not heavy, but,
No, but it's a big beer.
Juicy.
It's juicy.
So, you can see it. This one, they also have a slushy machine, and they make beer slushies over at Kettlehead.
I can't. I couldn't get my head around wine slushies until we did it.
Yeah, I'm
They make
still,
a
I'm
slushy out of
still a
local
little
blue.
bit reeling from that comment. Wow. But I could see a slushy from this, because
Mhm.
they've really, this is, I think you described something as juicy. This is really juicy. It has a little bit of nice sweetness, enough sweetness that the blueberry flavor is really, really kind of nice. And it's well balanced with the, malted barley and hops, and it's a great concoction. I have to
I'm
say,
impressed. Yeah.
I would go with crushable for sure.
Yes.
And I could drink, 3 of these.
Mhm.
I don't
They
think I would
do-
get tired.
It's on the 3 scale.
I think that I could have 3 of
Wow.
these in an evening.
What's the alcohol on this?
I don't know. It's got to be
Too
fairly
bad.
high, but it doesn't feel crazy.
5%.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And Kettlehead's one.
I could drink 4.
They definitely.
Hey, I got another one.
They get experimental. They do some pretty wild ones. They've had a mint chocolate chip cookie thing. They did
Yeah,
a
no
Captain
thanks.
Crunch sour, beers that actually taste like Fruit Loops. Or they're
Wow.
doing a sour series right now with Sour Patch Kids. They did a blue, green, and now a red.
Wow.
And they are, every time they come out with one, it tastes like exactly what it's advertised. But yeah, sometimes they're a lot. So it's good for a taster, hard to drink a whole bunch of it, but
Well,
they have fun with it for sure.
do they say what the hops are or anything? They don't usually put a whole lot on their
I didn't
cans.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Their cans
recycled.
are more sort of artistic. I
It says
feel like
beer
they
contains fruit must be kept cold.
Oh, okay, that'd be
so
kinda
there's
cool.
a whole fruit in
Okay.
there. Yeah.
It says local blue.
Local blue.
That's it.
Yeah. all right.
Kettlehead Brewing Company.
So I think the owners are still the brewers there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
They're
Yeah.
expanding too. I heard they're
Oh,
Yeah, so that's actually one of the exciting things. So Kettlehead's new to us. I think we've reached out to them before, and they haven't been doing much distribution.
haven't had to.
That's true. They get plenty of business at the brewery themselves, but they've been on tap at places. I think Uno's in Tilton, or like a couple of local restaurants. They've been on tap for a while, but in terms of can distribution, they've been at some stores, a few others, but they are expanding. They're building a new production facility, and they're working on expanding their distribution. And so we were thrilled to get in touch with them and be able to start carrying their beer.
So
that's pretty exciting for us.
If you're feeling lucky,
I'm not waiting anymore.
if you're feeling lucky, you can come to Hermit Woods and get your Kettlehead on.
You want to dump that?
You don't have to drive all the way to Tilton.
Well, I don't want to. You got to drive home.
That's
Be
true.
Careful.
Well, go lighter on the
And we're
double
going
IPAs
on a
for
double
me.
now.
Yeah, pour lighter on the double IPAs.
So
normal on the
Merike doesn't
sours.
want any more beer?
That's
Is that what
kind
you
of.
said?
I mean,
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's more for you. And
yeah, that's right.
That's true. I was gonna say, at the end of this, you've got to sit here and
I'm
finish all these, and I'm
walking
driving home.
We
Yeah.
only have,
And we got to watch the time. No, we
Yeah.
had 20 minutes to get through 5
Okay.
more
all
beers.
right, we got to step it up.
Yeah, and
we're-
it's fun. So they also, because they are a smaller brewery, so and they do. Okay, I need more than a sip. They're kind of one of the hard things. So for a while, I didn't want to miss a single beer that Kettlehead came up with. But it's difficult because they're the type, because they're so experimental, they come out with new beers all the time. So I have since given up on that goal. But I think probably every time you come into Hermit Woods, we'll probably have something different from Kettlehead.
I hope so,
because
but
they're-
careful promising that because it's hard to get.
That's true. That's true. Well, if we have a Kettlehead beer, it's probably not the beer that you had last time.
Is that a good thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I always want to try new things. It's fun. It's fun to
All
try
right.
new
Well,
things.
at least
and
we'll always
they
have
are-
Lake Cruiser.
Yes,
and
yeah, we'll have some
Hobbs
staples,
down.
and then we'll have a rotating
Okay.
new thing. Especially so with their distribution, they're not distributing their really experimental things as much,
Yep.
but a lot of their IPAs they'll be doing out. But they rotate through. They don't can a ton of each thing, and
All right.
so we'll get some different things.
Next one. All good things. There's nothing wrong with that. I like the name of that beer. All good things. And it's 8% alcohol, and they don't reveal really anything else. It's up to us to decide what
There's
we
something
want.
different about this one.
Yeah, there is.
And it's hazy, like the last
Smoky.
double that we had. A little more alcohol.
Smoky.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a different.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's
You
right
got
off.
smoke?
Yeah, smoke. I didn't get that last time I tried this. Maybe it was because it was my second or third one.
So they're using maybe a more roasted barley.
Roasted,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's
There's a
all the
smoke,
it's
something.
Oh, yeah.
malted anyway, but there's a bunch of ranges of how dark you go. So like a porter is made with chocolate malt or something like that, and those have this sort of smoky character. And I would suspect that they've snuck some of that
Yeah.
sort of really heavier toasted stuff in here.
It's in there for sure.
And really nice hop bill. It's not quite as citrusy as the other double IPA.
Definitely not.
And
It's a campfire beer.
yeah, no, really.
I
really
feel like
nice,
this,
really
like I'm
drinkable,
sitting
nice-
around a
nice
campfire.
sweetness.
That
and it
smoky's
has-
distinct.
And it almost, I'm right back to my Tropicana pulp-free orange juice.
Really?
Yep.
Even with the smoke?
Yeah.
Did you try that? We had a Lutheran's beer pretty recently, the Keep On Keeping On. That was a mimosa-inspired sour ale.
No,
It was
try that.
it was brewed
Sounds
with
something I like that.
with oranges and like Riesling grapes or something like that. There was a wine element to it, and it was straight orange juice to me.
Wow, I didn't try that one. I should
And
try that.
it wasn't as sour as a lot of sours, but yeah, it was straight orange juice.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that in a way that saying that it's right or wrong or anything else. I like it. It's just what it reminds me of in this
Juicy.
style of New England IPA.
Smoked juicy.
Yeah, and I think that they've stepped it up a little bit with whatever they're using for the malted barley in a great way. I do appreciate the creativity at Kettlehead. I've had a lot of their beers, and they make some great porters and stouts. And
Oh, it's their barley wine.
And the barley wine.
That's the one that you were.
Which they had during the pandemic, helped me recover from COVID. So, but they haven't made that in so long because they're experimenting with all kinds of other stuff.
They only have so many tanks.
Yeah.
They have so many
Yeah,
things. So
it's not a big spot.
I am just waiting for the day that Merike tells me that they have barley wine again. I go in there and ask every time I go there.
All right.
I'll have to remember. I don't know if I've had this one before. This might have been one I missed when they first came out.
Very good.
Matt says out from under the car, Dolgo
Dolgo
time.
time.
Dolgo time. My favorite time.
Cheers, Matt. Mark Grand joined us. Tough job. Yeah, I know. There is a reason we got into this. Just saying. So, remember, if there's questions out there, let us know. We'll answer your questions live on right along here. Oh, so wait, what are we doing? We're switching breweries.
I think we are. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you, Kettlehead.
Nothing. So
switching it up.
So Concord Craft. Now, Concord Craft. Now we ordered these based on the newest brewery
Or closest.
No,
We did
it was
proximity.
but also age.
I think it is actually. Yeah, you're probably
I
right.
think you're probably right.
I think in
Well, I don't know. Shilling might
These
not
have
be
got to
older
be
than Henniker.
pretty. These have got to.
These
No,
are
Shilling.
close. They're close.
Yeah, I think Henniker is the
Anyway,
oldest, but I'm not sure.
Concord Craft
These are
is
probably
before
similar.
Kettlehead and Twin Barns. So yes, I think you're right, Merike. We did set it up by distance, the closest, next closest, and down the line. But we also, interestingly,
it's
it's
about
also
my
about
age.
how long
Yep.
they've been in business. And Concord Craft's been around for about 6 years. And I love Concord Craft. I think they're doing really great stuff. They tend to be, unlike Kettlehead, they tend to be a little more traditional. So a lot of their
Definitely.
stuff tends to be more classically
Do
styled
you have a
beers.
jalapeno beer? Did you try that?
I haven't, no. No, and I encourage it. I think it's great that everybody experiments with different things, but I'm a big fan of Concord Craft. I've never had their sour peach passion fruit. Uh-oh. This
So
is
this is
sour
one-
and
I'm a
fruit.
sour
This
fan.
is your beer right
And
here.
when we go back to that app, you don't just check into the beer, you rate each beer. And my highest rated beers are all sours. And that's partly because sours are one of my favorite types of beers.
Sure.
But to me, it's also that a sour beer is more likely to blow me away in a way that other beers can't. Like a Pilsner is never going to blow me away because it's beer flavored beer. It can be really good, but
Love that
it's
beer
never
flavored
going to
beer.
surprise me. It's never going to
a Pilsner.
just knock it out of the park. It's a Pilsner. Whereas a sour or sometimes a porter or a stout can just be just incredible. And this is one of my few 5-star rated beers on my app. Is this maybe not this particular edition of Pandora's Kettle because it's a series.
Yeah.
But this is one of the first time I had it. It just knocked my socks off.
Well,
I tend to like passion fruit sours do tend to be my favorite. They're kind of
wait to
almost
try.
rhubarby in the sourness,
Yeah.
which I love.
It says it's low in calories and alcohol.
Yeah, it's
What is the alcohol?
3.7%.
This is 3.7.
Talk about lawnmower lager.
Yeah.
That's your beer right
Yeah,
there.
and refreshing because it has that acidity from this sort of sourness that makes your mouth feel hydrated.
Very sour and very fruity.
Yeah, this actually Ken made a thing called lawnmower lager that this reminds me of because you really get to taste the malted barley in here as well.
It does, yeah. It lingers. The aftertaste is still beer.
It's still beer,
You know?
Mhm.
And because like I said, I've had sours that are just it's a smoothie and it doesn't taste like beer at all. But the lingering aftertaste does make you remember that you are drinking beer.
And instead of having a variety of hops that taste fruity, the fruit is actually fruit, and then they had used whatever the hops
What
they
was
are
it? It was
to
peach and passion fruit.
peach and passion fruit. Yeah, it's nice. It's well done, nicely
It's
balanced.
actually really
And it's-
nice.
and it's-
I'm
and it's-
a
it is-
little worried. I might need to change up my beer drinking.
Oh,
a
that's
little
exciting.
bit.
I think it has a place that's very drinkable. I would give this a 2 out of 3 on my scale.
Mhm.
In other words, I would have another one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm with you.
Oh, that's exciting.
No, that's amazing. Because it's got it's a beer. It's beer,
Mhm.
and that's part of the category for me. It's got to be beer. Before
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
have
it
another
finishes with very.
Yeah.
one. Otherwise, I'm going to have wine. or cider or mead or something else. But this is a beer. It tastes nice, and the fruit doesn't overwhelm it. It's not in your face. It doesn't get in the way of being a beer.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. It does.
No, it's peach. I was processing peaches from my tree today and freezing them. So I had a lot of peaches, and in the aftertaste, I definitely get that really nice peachiness. That it's just nicely preserved.
It's really good.
Yeah, it fit perfectly. Yeah, I wish I had this
I love
morning when I was
the-
working peaches because I would have had the best of all worlds.
It's just good. And passion fruit, I think it is. It's rhubarby. It's
I
so
need to
sour.
get out of my box. I need to
Proud of you,
drink more
Bob.
beers. Yeah.
You have to
This
drink
I
more
can-
beer, Bob.
I'll keep bringing you sours. I've been generally just bringing you the IPAs
That's
from
only
home,
you only have
but
to run 2 miles every time.
I know.
go.
3.7. I could pound those.
yeah,
I could have like
I come home.
You know,
These
Bob
tend to be my
scales
lunchtime
mileage.
beers. Yeah.
3 double IPAs. That's like
That's a 10-mile
that
run.
would take a 6-pack of
Yeah.
16-ounce
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah,
Nice.
I'll have lunch beers on my Fridays off, and I usually will grab a sour all the time, and then I can easily grab a second or a third on
Yeah.
the afternoon.
Oh,
one
sure.
piece.
This could be
Could
a
have 4 or
Merike,
5 of those.
a Merike 3.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well done,
Mhm.
Concord Craft. And
I love
everything
Concord
everything
Craft.
that we've had
I mean,
in Concord
so
Craft has
I-
been spectacular.
I don't
Yeah.
get there as much as I'd like. I've been there a few times, but they have a very small little
They
tap
expanded.
room.
Expanded.
Did they?
Yes, they took
Oh.
over the space next door.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, because
And they're doing food
last time
now?
I was there they had a very small
Couple
outdoor
years
space,
ago.
and
How long ago?
it was pandemic. It was during the pandemic because we ate outside. They had sort of created
well,
a weird
there
little outdoor
isn't there
space.
isn't much outdoor space there. I know that, but
No.
they did take over the next door area. So,
So I
it
guess
is bigger.
yeah, it was about a
So-
year and a half ago.
If you want to visit Concord Craft, and you should, they're right off the main exit in Concord. If you get off the main exit and you go, but you could go either left or right. At the
Store Street. Is that
it's the same.
the one?
It's,
It's parallel to Main Street.
it's parallel. It's right. It's between the highway and Main Street.
Yep. And they have it made because they're right by
Or
that
the
sort of
garage.
strip of.
Yeah.
Well, there's a parking garage right
Yeah.
there, and there's also the
Oh,
there's a
the-
huge parking lot because it's right by Burlington
The
Coat
Concord
Factory,
liquor
TJ
stores
Maxx.
there.
Yeah,
The TJ
Great
Maxx.
spot.
The
and you can walking distance
supermarket.
downtown.
Yeah.
So they're doing food now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have a food program as well. So you should definitely go visit them. They had their brewer was one of my favorite brewers. I'm confident they've replaced him well. He just retired. I was sad to see that he retired, but he's been in the business a long time, and I think he helped bring them along and really put them on the map because he made some fantastic beer.
And consistent.
And now we're drinking their Safe Space. This
This has got to be one of their most popular.
this is their most popular. It's a New England IPA. I just love their wild cans.
rainbow unicorns.
A rainbow unicorn and a New England IPA. This is classic
Yeah.
New England.
Back like that Palmer sound we had earlier. This is a great one.
And this is talk about juicy. I'll agree with you. This is juicy. This
Yeah.
is a juicy IPA. I don't know if they tell you much about it here. What is it?
Our safe space is so big in flavor and soft in finish. Its tastiness is something that can bring us all together.
It's true. Big in
entice-
flavor and soft and finish.
An enticing, complex, citrusy aroma from liberal dry hopping and late addition hops.
Yep.
Light, hazy yellow hue, and a full mouthfeel bursting with tropical fruit. Finish is clean and refreshing.
They nailed it.
So smooth and
described it
delicious, it
well,
will
too.
bring you to your safe space. Feel free to share the love.
This is
Voted best New Hampshire made beer. Hippo,
Wow.
best of 2021.
Wow, that's a big deal with 100 breweries in New Hampshire.
It is,
That's a
yeah.
score.
They are, in the capital. They've got a good following. Yeah.
But it's
6%.
good. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I would say in comparing and contrasting to what we've had, and this is certainly one of my go-to beers, is that it finishes with a bit more bitter hops. I don't know if it's from dry hopping or whatever. I don't know how they make this, but other than relative to the other IPAs that we've had, it's less Tropicana orange juice and a little bit more bitter tropical beer than the others.
That's
a little less
true.
sweet.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's nice. So there's subtle differences, but I really like the taste and the recipes that Concord Craft has. Always have.
So maybe you know this, Chuck, but this says brewed and canned by Concord Craft Brewing Company, Concord, New Hampshire, and under special agreement, Everett, Mass.
Yeah, so they've contract brewed it.
So
this
there's
is
a
being-
bigger brewing facility or a bigger
Yeah.
canning facility probably down in Mass.
Brewing and canning, yeah.
So it's got so popular,
Yeah, they can't.
I
they
believe
had,
so.
to, they had to send it out to
'Cause
somebody else.
Their distribution, their can distribution is big. Like
It
you
is
find
pretty
Concord
big.
Craft at every grocery store and beer store in New Hampshire.
That's great.
And I'm
for
not
them.
sure how much they're doing out of state, but clearly if they're canning in Mass, I'm sure they're just distributing in Mass.
Well, not necessarily, but they're certainly canning down there.
Mhm.
Or they're working with another brewer.
It's definitely a 3 on my scale. I
Yeah.
mean, I would just
It's an
go through
awesome
3
beer.
of those and
Awesome beer, yeah.
that's great.
So we got 3 more beers. We got
All right.
4 more minutes. I'm going to
Okay.
check in with the audience while you
I'll pour your
guys
next.
get the
Love
next
that
one
sound.
going. Janice wants to know about jalapeno beer.
Oh yeah, so I've
Hermit.
had jalapeno beers at a few places. Concord Craft has easily been my favorite. That it had that little subtle hint of spice, but it was a beer I could drink the whole beer, even if it was a full 16 ouncer. I just had a
Wow.
taster of it at the time,
How
but
about local stouts?
I could easily do it. Kettlehead.
Yeah,
Kettlehead?
Kettlehead.
The other one, Deciduous. They're down further south,
Okay.
and they're another. They do incredible sours and incredible stouts.
Okay.
Those are the two for me, stout wise.
All right, great. So we're into Henniker. So Henniker,
So wait, what?
have you been to
We can
Henniker?
see through the beer?
I know.
Yeah,
Look
so
at that.
clearly we're at something different now.
Yeah, what did they do?
Have you before you
It's
tell,
not a
tell
new
us?
one
Have you
I've
been to
been.
Henniker? No. Have you
I have been to Henniker once.
So have
I've
I.
had several of the beers over the years, and I've actually been to the tap room once. They're one of those typical, like, as craft breweries go, they're sort of off the beaten path a little bit in a big old industrial
Yep.
warehouse type space.
It's kind of off. It's not
Well,
really
it's
off
not
the
really
beaten
off
path.
the
It's
beaten
right
path.
on Route
It's
9.
right off, yeah. It's
Is it
right by.
nine?
It's right off. No. Yes.
Between
And 202.
Concord and Keene.
202.
Yeah.
Yeah. 209.
Yeah.
Right. It's
That's
really
where it
close
is.
to Pat's Peak, so I'm sure they get busy with the skiing traffic.
They have outdoor as well. Outdoor area.
Yeah, I think it was winter when I visited, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, and they have a pretty big indoor area.
No, and I don't remember food.
No, I don't think so.
But I do remember this. The time I went, I don't know if it's changed since then. That was a year or two ago, year and a half. I got a sandwich somewhere else and I brought it. They let you bring your own food.
Good.
So that was different.
So
I
what
like
are we
that sort
drinking?
of setup. This is their
Session.
Miles and Miles Session IPA. So 5.5%, a little lighter, smaller can. Nice clean finish and yeah, much clearer
Yep.
than
Filtered.
anything we've had
Clearly
so far.
filtered.
Though still over a pound of hops per barrel.
Wow, for a session, that's still got some punch.
Yeah, that actually, yeah. It's
It's the hops.
named in honor of Dairy, New Hampshire's Captain Alan Shepard. Oh,
Ooh.
Dairy, New Hampshire's Captain Alan Shepard. And his golf shots while on the moon, which he jokingly described as traveling miles and miles. I did not know he did that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
he
pretty
did.
cool.
He
Have
did
you-
the golf shot. Yeah,
On the
That's
moon.
cute.
yeah. One of New Hampshire's
Yeah, he was one of the first guys on the moon.
heroes. Yeah, right. No,
His,
that's great.
wow, that ball must have gone forever.
Miles and miles.
It's still going actually.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
little known fact.
Mhm.
it's going to hit somebody's windshield someday.
That's right. Yeah, well, I think it hit the Tesla that Musk sent up there when it went up there. I may be starting a rumor, but I thought I heard that somewhere.
It does. The flavor is very light.
Yeah.
But the finish is, I get the hoppy bitterness on the finish.
Oh yeah, very
Quite a lot
hoppy,
of it.
bitter finish, but it is a light flavor. So it's like a pilsner with hops.
Yeah. But that, I guess
a beer
that's what
beer
that
with
might
hops.
be,
It's
that
a
might
beer
be what a
beer.
session IPA is.
It's a beer flavored beer. It has a lot of beer in it, and it's
There's
beery.
beer in
No,
there.
it's really hard.
See how your reviews get after you've had like 6 beers?
Yeah, that's right.
There's beer, and it's beery.
Yeah.
But it is wild.
Well,
Like it'd be
so-
cool to pour, a few of these at the same time and see just the color.
I know. I wanted to do side by sides, but we just don't have the time.
Well,
Yeah.
it is. To me, it's more true to an India Pale Ale,
Mhm.
which would finish with a bitterness, because
More, yeah.
well, according to the history of beer told by Ken, they made beer to send to India, and they put a lot of extra hops in it because they wanted it to survive the voyage.
It was a
fresh.
The
preservative.
hops is the preservative. So I think this is really true to form, and it's still high alcohol, but I think that the India Pale Ale is just
But
It's not high. It's a session.
It's 5.5, but a session could be 3,
Yeah.
7.
I know. It's surprised.
I mean, our session,
That's
our
not a
spring
session.
in session is 8, Bob.
Well, that's a
But-
different
But
category.
category. That's true.
Compared
As
to wine,
goes,
that's
it
really
is-
low
It's
alcohol.
0.5%, right? Yeah. But a standard IPA is usually more than 5.
Is it?
So,
It's hard to follow up with double IPAs and then go to a session.
Well, I know, we're
traditional
all over the map,
IPA.
but we're
Yeah.
trying to stick
Yeah.
with the,
Yeah, I
But
know.
it's
Stick to
interesting
the proximity.
honestly, the hops on this, I think this is the most hoppy beer we've tasted so far, even though we've had 2 double IPAs.
I think
As a
that's
matter of balance,
because,
so would agree.
yeah, I'd agree too, but it's partly because it's lighter beer, so the hops
It
jump
doesn't
right
have
out
that
at you.
juiciness to balance it.
Right.
Yep. And that's actually my favorite IPAs. The IPAs I tend to like the most are those really juicy, like grapefruit IPAs. Because then I can tell myself it's just the grapefruit that's making it better, and then it makes more sense to me.
Wonder why they called it a session. They didn't describe that.
Session.
Well, I mean,
know
the
why.
next one-
I've researched it.
So you can sit around drinking.
No,
with your
It's
mate.
lunch.
No, it started in England.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When the factories would go to lunch, and
Yeah.
the bars wanted a session IPA. A session was considered the beer you'd have
Your
while
lunch
you were
session.
on lunch.
Right.
And it was lower in alcohol, so that when you got back to the factory, you wouldn't kill yourself on the machines you were working on.
It's your
so
lunch
they
session.
created a session. That's what it is.
Is that why Lucas Electronics are so good? Because they would go to lunch and go to the pub.
Well, you see, you can drink a lot of sessions and still accumulate the same amount of alcohol. That's the flaw in the ointment there.
Yeah. Whoops, it is.
You
probably
can
have
make
a
a lower
lot of
alcohol beer, and then you can drink more of them.
So now opposite end. So we went from a session IPA, the lighter, lower alcohol, to a double.
A double,
Damn
sure.
another double.
This is 8.5%.
Oh, this is the biggest one on the table.
But again, not nearly as hazy as the Late
No.
Cruiser or any of the New England
No, they're
IPAs.
filtered.
This is the Damn Sure.
Damn sure.
Damn Sure. The Hampshire for Damn Sure.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Well, that's good.
But it almost has like a fruitiness. to it.
Candiness. It's got like a fruit candy. It's
Mhm.
sweet.
Yeah. Maybe that's a different thing.
Yeah. So it's
yeah,
not a New
so-
England IPA.
No,
It's
Definitely not.
it's just a double
Just a
IPA.
double.
So it's that with double the
Mhm.
barley bill. It's a bit sweeter, but it has a really nice flavor, and again, super balance between the sweetness and the bitterness from the hops, and no crazy tropical fruit hops in there. It's just beer kind of.
Yeah.
It's like beer.
I don't think of Henniker as being one of the sort of experimental
No,
breweries.
no,
they
no, they
stick to the standards, and they do it.
do it
They
well.
do it all well.
Yeah.
They're really
It's
good at
nice
yeah.
beer.
Damn sure.
Really
it
good
is.
sort of
Damn
tradition.
sure.
damn sure good beer.
So we have one more beer. I'm going to check with the audience. We're really out of time, but we're not going to leave Shillings out of this conversation. There's no way that we would do that.
yeah, we made a point. We kind of wanted to do a couple.
crime.
We kind of wanted to do a couple from each of the breweries that we're showcasing today. But currently we've only got one from Shillings, though we've carried several of their others before. But
Well, we always have a Shillings or their partner brand, which is their new brand, which is
Resilience.
Resilience.
they're not that new anymore. I mean,
No, a couple
Resilience-
years.
Oh, longer than that.
Really? 3
Yeah.
years at the most.
So you need to figure out
That's
that.
just
Do they brew Resilience in their new brewery?
Same place. I think
no. They
Right.
brew Resilience in the new brewery, and they brew Shillings in the old brewery.
Oh, okay. But they were brewing Resilience before they built the new space.
No.
Yes.
They were.
Oh yeah.
You know more about beer than me. I'll shut up.
Yeah, they definitely were brewing that
Are
earlier.
you sure?
Because I've never been to the new facility. It wasn't there. But they had Resilience early on. They were, it was a small batch, not making a ton
So
of
they
it.
did well. Maybe they did that to set themselves apart,
Yeah.
because they wanted, that was their plan. But they wanted to create a distinct difference. So their Resilience is more their traditional beers, the IPAs and the more classically styled beers, and their Shillings beers are the more Belgium styles, the more creative, old world style.
Old
beers.
world, but not. I don't think of them as being more creative. Is the Shillings.
Well, maybe not creative. Sorry, that's not the right word. Old world.
Old world.
So
yeah.
more classic.
They definitely do it very, very
Oh boy, that's good.
sort of, European.
So-
You guys are
Though they
yammering
also
on
they get
about
into
worlds.
the sours, the Shillings, Poppy's Moonship.
Shillings would get into sours, but Resilience would probably not.
Resilience is like straight IPAs.
That's what I meant. More
Yeah.
classic style. That's
Straight
what I meant.
IPAs, yeah.
Their original Shillings was going to be a little bit more out there. So just to check in with
Beer flavored
the
beer.
audience, Matt says he goes through Henniker every time. Have you stopped at Henniker Brewery? You should, Matt. You should stop there.
Definitely worth a stop.
Yeah, where's the stop? They
and
have
buy some beer and bring it to me, Matt.
Yeah.
They're
Damn sure.
Damn sure.
their distribution is pretty big by now. They're
they're
another one that
pretty
you
big
find at
brewery.
a lot of the stores around. You can find Henniker.
Yeah, pretty big. So this is from Shillings. So we tried to break Shillings down. Shillings started about, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 years ago.
First time I
One
was
of the
there
early
was
breweries.
I was there first in 2014. Was the first time I was there,
So
and they were pretty well established at that point. They were maybe still newish, but at least 2014.
So they've been around a while.
That was the first time I was
Really
there.
great place. If you haven't been, you should absolutely go. They're right on the river in Littleton, New
Gorgeous.
Hampshire, down by the river, and they have a beautiful old building, a mill building that they turned into their brewery. They have wood-fired pizza. It's fantastic. And Shillings just on their own was just wonderful, but they were hugely successful, and their beer was very popular. They did a really nice job, and that inspired them to create. They bought a property next door to them, and they created the what is it called again?
Resilience.
Resilience.
Yep.
Which is a big 20-barrel brewing system. It's more their mainstream. I mean, it's the bigger system, so they're a little more mainstream because they're distributing more widely under Resilience. And you can go visit both the places. They're not the same. You visit one or the other. You can't get the wood-fired pizza at
No, I think
at
the
Resilience.
Shillings is just the restaurant.
It's the restaurant and brewery.
And brewery, yeah. But then at Resilience, I think it's just a tap room. I don't know if they have food over there.
Resilience, I don't
Yeah,
believe they
I
have
think-
food.
yeah.
No.
They do
But
know. It's
I
just a
definitely
tasting
remember I'd say actually because of that, the Shillings might be my second favorite brewery in the state because of that location. Overlooking the river is so beautiful, and their food is so good.
Second behind Kettlehead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go on the other side of you. I'm going to say Shillings is my favorite.
The one thing that I struggle with at Shillings is they do not do flights. And that makes me sad when I go to a brewery because I always want to try a bunch of things, especially if I haven't been there before. They'll do half pours, but they don't do flights.
It seems to me I've had a selection of beers there.
We just had
I just
4
couldn't
half
drink
pours.
beer. I don't remember, but this is totally a 3 beer.
Oh yeah.
Number 3
So
on my
this,
beer.
yeah, this is me. So this is their
Yeah.
Alexander 10 Pilsner. To me, this is like a river flow beer.
A river flow?
Yeah.
Sorry? What does that
Well,
mean?
you know,
Like
this is
you get in a tube, you park your car at one end, go down to the other, float on down.
Showing your age, Joe.
Not like
You haven't been
river
on a
float.
float?
That's not a new thing.
You know, it actually is.
I
It's
did
something
that.
you do. I used to do it a lot.
No, I
Not
did
a
when I was
new
a kid.
thing. Not a
No.
new thing. It's a
It's
thing you do
youth-
when you tend to be
youthful
younger.
thing, yes.
I did it a lot when I was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I haven't done it in a long.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So
Well, they don't have tubes and tires anymore. So how
Yeah,
do you
they
go
do.
tubing?
yeah,
I
That car doesn't have any
mean,
tubes.
well, yeah.
truck tires.
Oh, big
Well,
truck.
no, and it's not those tubes you buy. You buy a tube that's meant for.
Well, when I went
You buy
tubing, I
a
bought truck
tube that's
tires.
for river tubing.
Yeah. Oh, they
yeah.
make ridiculous ones. They make ones that are like you can buy a whole set that's like a pizza and they attach together if you have a whole group. They make
See,
unicorn
This is
ones.
what we missed
See,
out on.
They're wild.
We're too old.
They're silly. They're pretty
I used to
silly, but
just
they're
take
fun.
a truck tire tube
Yeah,
to sit
that's-
in,
that's
and
the-
then a truck tire tube to hold my cooler.
That's the
No, the
sort of
keg,
OG tubing.
actually.
Keg,
The
I haven't
keg
done it
would
with a
sit
keg.
down in. If
No,
the river's
I haven't
full.
done the
Yeah.
keg.
If you've ever tubed on the Baker River here in New Hampshire in June, I run a UNH annual tubing down Baker River. You put the keg in a tube.
What a,
And
it
the
must be
river
a
is
deep
cold.
river.
It's cold and deep. Yeah.
Yeah, because the keg would hit the
I was
bottom.
like, yeah,
most
I've been
of
on
the
So I
time.
read
that.
stories about that in the newspaper because I certainly would never do anything like that.
How many people have died on that?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody ever knew because they don't know what happened to them. So.
I've been on down river floats when there was a keg floating along.
Yeah, no, keg is good.
Yeah, no, sounds like a great idea.
It's a great time.
So
Just that cool.
your tubing. So for me, I just walked into
That's my
a
lawnmower
restaurant
lager.
in Prague. This
This is your
is
Prague
it.
beer. That's
this
Yeah.
is
That's-
this is
wow,
it's got
that's a big-
it's fresh.
big plus.
First off, the you can just catch all the flavors in there as if it just came out of the vat. Just brilliant. this is what I like about Shillings, because I like old world beer. I like Bob's viewpoint, the German law of beer. But the thing is that it's different in different places. And Shilling has had this a mission to bring old world beer into their thing. That's what they're interested in. And they do it so
They do
well.
it well.
Yeah.
Good job.
That is, God, that's good.
So I think that's a great way that we should end this podcast, this little broadcast. Shillings, great beer, great review. Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah.
But we are way over time. We're 10 minutes over.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Whoops.
So we gotta say goodbye. But again, thank you all for joining us for another crazy Monday of drinking with the Hermits and our newest hermit.
Thanks for having me.
And no scotch, Chuck. Just the last couple words. Greg says, Chuck, you prefer filtered over hazy IPA?
Yeah, I don't know if I know the difference, but I would. Yeah.
The way you were just describing, I think you probably are on the filtered
I don't know
side.
the filtering is gonna change the. I'm not saying I don't like them. I'm just saying that what it's like to me is fruit juice, like a Tropicana. So I don't know. Good question. Let's experiment with that when you come to town, Greg.
All right. So
Thanks all.
so thank you, everybody. We will look forward to seeing you again next Monday. I don't know what we're doing. Do anybody know what we're doing next Monday?
Some podcast.
We're doing a broadcast next Monday,
broadcast.
5:30.
Yeah.
So I hope you're here to enjoy some fine wine or beer. Who knows what we'll end up doing?
Scotch.
We're going to
We'll
do
look
a
forward to
beer
it.
and wine pairing.
A beer and wine pairing. So until next week, thank you all for joining us. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.